So originally I wanted to start this video with the clip of Lex going crash out and it being me reacting to people only glazing the new Superman movie. So I then started to watch reviews of people to find clips to push my narrative that everyone just glazes the new Superman movie. But then I found out that I'm indeed wrong and like an idiot should start challenge my preconceived notion. And that there are indeed more opinions on this movie than I originally thought. There are two! Hi. I watched the new Superman 2025 movie, and there is one scene in the movie, I'm not gonna spoil it, even though Warner Bros. Is basically releasing the movie in form of YouTube shorts and featurettes, but something happens to Superman's eyes. You can see it in the trailers where they have these red outlines, and don't ask, but for some reason I thought the Batman has dark eyeliner, let's just, yeah, make it. I'm not joking, it's not a new Superman, a new Batman. And yes, I know there's no way Robert Pattinson is gonna meet David Corenswets Superman, and they are not gonna do Elseworlds in the next decade, so it's just fan art. Actually, I have a video planned for the future with the new CWs Batman, but more on that in the end. And yes, we're gonna return to a regularly scheduled Photoshop time-lapse tutorial, but not really real soon. But when making the last videos I didn't have a mic, so I got one now, and I wanted to do some more sound. So while I watch, I will go on my opinion on the movie, in no real structure, just a rambling madman. What qualifies me to review this movie? I paid 14 euros, which means I own 4.4 trillionth of Warner Brothers. That's 12 zeros, 4 of Warner Brothers, so listen up. I'm apparently a review YouTuber now, so first I have to complain about other people's reviews. That there are only two opinions. The movie is great, and I wanted this all my life, except for two things that are new. I hate them into oblivion, I will talk about them later. Or, the movie is fine, with some heavy flaws, but still very enjoyable. And then there are the leeches of the internet, who complain that there are only two opinions, to only say one in the end. Spoiler, I like the movie. I really think it was fun, but I say my opinions in more detail here. Like I said, I don't have a clear monologue written out here, it's no real structure. I basically want to go through other points I've heard about that movie and say if I agree with it. I really try to not spoil anything, but I mean, you know the characters that are gonna be in this movie, and I guess you know that there are gonna be fight scenes with Superman, so just let's get on with it. The thing I've heard the most of people's opinion, even before the movie came out, is it has a lot of comic book accuracy. In the sense of a very daring Eastern European representation, future writers will try to alter or backtrack later, yes, I think. And just as a disclaimer, I had and still don't know anything about the discourse before the movie came out. For about 3 years now, I don't or try not to watch movie trailers. I can't really stop sitting in the cinema, but I don't really know what people are looking forward to. But comic accuracy, of course I get what it meant. More in the sense of the vibrant colors and not being ashamed of the campy costumes and or looks from the comic books. Yeah, that's just James Gunn for you. Also forget James Gunn. You want to watch a naive, innocent DC superhero movie filled with literally colorful cast? Well buddy, have you heard of Shazam, Fury of the Gods? Or Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2, hell, even Thor for that matter. Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm not trying to be mean, I just never thought comic accuracy or color was super important. But on that note, even though it's not really the same thing, I think the movie looked really good. And stop complaining about the CGI. Before and after the god-awful AI alien child, the effects were good with some very, very amazing shots. But this cry for campier costumes, stories and such made me think of the old superhero movies. And I mean the pre-Batman Begins, pre-Spider-Man Sam Raimi movies. The movies of the 2010s were not just dark in order to fit the serious adult time of American pop culture. They were a direct response to this. I know James Gunn understands the source material better than this. I'm not trashing David Schumacher, he himself said he's not proud of this. Still, it's very interesting to me, because I grew up with my dad saying how good I have it, having superhero movies you can watch who adapt the source material to a realistic standard. And now, when my generation, they have kids, they will say, boy, you have it so good. Back in my day, superhero movies were all dark and gloomy. Okay, that was a lot. Acting. David Corenswets has been praised to death, and I don't intend on doing anything else. He was fantastic. He played the part perfectly. And this leads into the following. This is more like the overpoint for the following thing. And I'm actually disappointed in myself. I never thought about this. The show My Adventures with Superman already opened my eyes that Clark Kent is the actual person and Superman is the persona. I know everyone loves the Christopher Reeves movies, but in these films Bill is just straight up right. Clark is a bumbling parody of the human struggle. He wasn't always, he was a real kid who grew up on Earth, and then his ChatGPT that PowerPoint showed up, took his entire personality away, and he's just a perfect god among men, obviously with good intent. But here there wasn't a distinction between Clark and Superman for me. There is not the perfect Boy Scout or the clown. At first I thought there wasn't a lot of Superman in this movie, but then it clicked that Clark and Kent are in fact the same guy. Kal-El does not exist. It's a name given to Clark Kent, born and raised on a farm. And you can stick Nicholas Hoult into anything and I will love it. I just saw The Great. I made this entire video just to trick you into hearing me talk about The Great. Watch it. It's awesome. His ending monologue you already saw on YouTube is amazing and correct. But what I don't really get or like is that he's sometimes so cartoonishly Disney villain evil and people applaud that. Wasn't a big part of the MCU's original or even Sam Raimi's big success, they actually showed comic book characters can be three-dimensional and not just pure evil cutouts? Did the MCU or DCU make too many good villains? Fatigue of 3D characters, I'm sorry. And just there's this one scene, I really don't try to spoil anything. Basically, let's just skip the next 5 seconds. Basically, he killed some innocent man in cold blood willingly, and the scene is just over. He's never brought up again. This scene feels so out of place for me, like even the editing is just, it's shoved in there. I heard the pacing is a weakness people generally agree on. I just have to say, I only didn't have a big problem with it. I really see it in the middle, but this one scene especially, I'm not lying, I straight up thought it was a dream sequence. No joke, it was gonna be like something like the Black Mercy or something. It just watch it, you can't tell me you don't see it. And at first I thought they made his motivation something very different, but like I said, this last monologue, just this scene, sold him on me. Not just the acting, but also the writing of Lex. I really loved Nicholas Hoult Lex, that's how good he was. I'm not gonna say a lot about the other characters, but I just wanna say I really love Lois, played by Rachel Brosnahan. I never really knew much about Lois Lane. The only version of her I saw besides some cartoons was Man of Steel, where I didn't not like her. She was looking back a really active role. I liked that she pushed the plot and discovering Superman. Still, the new Lois is amazing and a complete contrast to Clark. And there's one scene, yeah, that's a bit of a spoiler, of her confronting him about his irresponsibility as Superman. And that really made her, for me, and this movie click in my mind as, oh, this is something new, something I haven't seen from a Superman movie. But I wish they kept the realism till the end of the film, because I know it's also a story about people being inspired and her being the cynicism to Superman's or Clark's naivism, being inspired by Superman's heroism and goodness with a lot of schisms, but that went a bit too fast for me. Not even forced, it was just not there. I also thought Mr. Terrific kind of stole the spotlight from her. I know she's not a physical fighter and I'm glad they didn't force some fight scene with her and spoiler the ship she pilots at the end, but I honestly wanted to see more of her and they just kind of totally shifted to Mr. Terrific. Still, she was amazing. As someone who was forced to watch a lot of rom-coms, I can confidently say they made one of the best. Yes, I teased him, foreshadowing is a narrative tool, blah blah blah. Now I know a lot of people were excited for Mr. Terrific, played by Eddie Gaffey. I never read anything with him, I don't read a lot of comics. And until writing this video, I forgot I ever saw him in something, which I did. I watched 3 seasons of him in Arrow. They was just a 2010s, nice, friendly, nerdy, awkward computer guy, which made him a better Felicity and an intermediate Cisco. I remember liking him, but honestly not remembering him at all is just, yeah, that speaks for him. And in this movie, he was okay. Mr. Terrific definitely ranks above Hawkgirl and Metamorpho, trust me. I think he was the most Guardians character of the movie, which I later heard a lot of people feared this movie to be. I didn't really see him as cool. He had some good one-liners, but I just thought him to be inconsistent. One scene he is this complete logical Spock, and then he is emotional, shouting about. That's honestly all I thought about him. I think he was a smart choice to pair him up with Lois. It contrasted nicely with how distraught she was at this point in the story and him just being this focused and concentrated. His costume looked really amazing, but for some reason while watching the movie, I just couldn't unsee Zima Blue. I know it's not there, but his T-Spheres looked really cool. Is what I would say if they weren't done 5 years earlier by the GOAT Jim Carrey in Sonic. I want to see the death battle between Mr. Terrific and Dr. Ivor Robotnik, please. They sounded very negative. I enjoyed Mr. Terrific a lot, But like I said, some people said it was like the standout role, and yeah, they just gave him a lot of screen time in the second half. Okay, this is gonna be a spoiler. I am sorry. The post-credit scene made a lot of people really excited for Supergirl, but I honestly liked her more before I saw that. I won't act like I know Supergirl at all. I just watched the CW show when I was a child, which I heard her portrayal in is really unfaithful to the modern comics. In the show, she is a bumbling, optimistic, helpful citizen, which was a criticism back in 2016, but now it's just a gender-bent version of the Superman so many people wanted. Comic booky plots, costumes and colors, hopefulness, that's the show. But apparently she's a really different person in the comics, which I did not know, like I said. And more of a what-if story for the Superman archetype. Clark Kent grew up on a farm where he learns to see the good in everything, but Supergirl, from an early age, saw all the evil in the universe and still tries to believe in the good, which sounds more compelling than classic Superman to me. But this scene, she is a joke, just a drunk joke, and Crypto is her dog, and she takes him, which means I feel like the 10 minutes the movie dedicated to this frame store catch fab challenge was nothing. I was really thrilled to see a melancholic warrior princess of a lost star flying around space looking for meaning in life and goodness. I don't think I will get that, and if I do, it feels inconsistent with these 30 seconds she was here. While writing this, I saw an interview. I saw a YouTube short of an interview with James Gunn saying this was intentional, so people see she is a mess and not in a good place.
Crypto is a mess and belongs to another mess, which is Supergirl.
That's right. She's a mess. She's a total mess. She's had a completely different background from Superman, a much more difficult background. He's had this wonderful upbringing by these two parents that loved him and were very healthy, and her background was much different than that, and she's ended up different than her cousin.
Look, a gloomy, depressed, melancholic, drunken pessimist probably wouldn't have fitted in the style of this Superman. But if it doesn't fit, don't use her in the movie. Supergirl isn't even the next movie, it's Clayface. This movie is said to be a dark, gritty crime movie. No joke you don't tease Seven in Hope is the new punk rock, but then also don't tease Supergirl if it's the complete tonal opposite. But I think all of you know to what I was building up here. I walked out of the movie with a big dumb smile on my face. If I didn't expect one thing from a Superman story, it is to be an underdog story. It was an overdue decision to make Superman way weaker, where I was just happy for anything resembling a win. And immediately negated the problem of every villain has kryptonite, so they can even scratch him. Speaking of kryptonite, I respect how gruesome they made it seem in this movie. It's basically an instant kill weapon. Well, not instant, it's actually a very, very slow, painful death, and even after, the effects still linger. I said all that. I don't really know if it's a recommendation for people who plan to see this movie. Maybe I just made this for people who watched the movie, and if you did, please say your takes in the comments. Yes, engagement, farming, blah blah blah, but I really wanna know people's opinions more. But wow, this guy is still photoshopping. Speed up, buddy. I wanna close with two things. Now, as I said, people are excited for this new, campy, light-hearted take on comic books. Oh hey, the Batman 2 is finally coming! I am actually now excited for the DCU's Batman, even though nothing has been announced, because it's gonna be like if Superman 2025 was simultaneously released with Man of Steel. We have two completely opposite takes on a character being made in the same time. Honestly, this is the first time in history it could be like, hey, you wanna watch the new Batman movie? Which one? There are very few information, and like I said, I wanna make a whole video on the DCU's possible Batman. Now, second last point. Obviously the movie was good but had flaws is the dominant opinion of 80% of movies. I didn't even specify the flaws with that statement. But with this movie, I feel like they're like exactly 50% with the exact opinion of I love everything about this movie. Except the two new things, making Superman significantly weaker and changing something about his parents' origin. Again, spoiling not as hard as I can. And even though I disagree with you, I'm sorry, because people say you can't get everything right, well apparently this movie did, except he did two new things, they were just AI hallucinated by James Gunn. I like these changes, I care less about the origin part. You might have realized I didn't talk a lot about the story, as I don't want to spoil it. Skip the next 10 seconds, but go. The origin change is important, but it is actually dealt with pretty fast, and they even reveal that most of the consequences that were followed were artificially created by Lex, which I thought was just so dumb, takes away so much of this big reveal. But with that said, Here's the picture. I am really happy with how it turned out, but you might have noticed I was very unsure with the lighting. I definitely wanted to create a contrast between Batman and Superman. It's not realistic and campy, but isn't this what the DCU is all about? And I'm a punk rockstar. I just did the FNAF theorist. I do a 30-minute video about an impossible theory, say it's impossible after 30 minutes and then say, hey, it's the beauty of theorisms and the pain that goes into it. I know it's your job, but you don't start producing the video when it's not finished. You know it doesn't make sense, it doesn't work before it FNAF. Anyway, I hope you liked it. Sorry this video took so long. It took ages for me to get this new microphone. Like I said, I plan to make a video with the DCU's possible Batman. If you have literally any video ideas, things you want to see photoshopped, things you want to draw. I want to do more drawing recently because YouTube hasn't had enough people drawing. Just straight up, I want to do something on the upcoming Street Fighters movie. I will do the new Critical Role chars once campaign 4 finally drops. While finishing this video, the new characters have been revealed, but I don't wanna watch that because I don't wanna spoil me the fun of seeing new characters. I really just wanna see it when the campaign drops. And I'm gonna see a Critical Role campaign begin from the beginning. That's for the first time. Did you like this new talking style? Thanks to the patrons. Couldn't do it without you. Bye!